So what I have now for everyone is some video footage excerpts that I took of our tour with the NASA Social for the SMAP launch at the Space and Missile Heritage Center. This is a museum right at Vandenberg Air Force Base. It is on the base, so you can't just go in. You sort of have to get coordinated first. But luckily NASA did that for us. Our host for the tour was Jay Prichard, an expert at everything here dealing with satellites and the missiles. There's two parts of this tour. There's part that's called the exhibit on the chronology of the Cold War, and then the evolution of technology. You can hear Aurora's impressed here. The kids already saw the video, and I want to share it with you. Here we go.
Behind that blast wall over there, there's a big tank over there. That's where the liquid oxygen, the oxidizer, would be stored. The gaseous nitrogen tanks that you see there would pressurize that and push the liquid oxygen into the vehicle. The kerosene rocket fuel that was, or rocket propellant one, that's nothing more than high-grade kerosene, that would be behind the blast wall over there. Here's the thing, and this is one of the reasons why this is so important for you guys to stand here. Because this is the only Thor launch complex left on this planet. So there were originally 60 of these that were deployed in England. None of them exist there now. So they are only basically concrete ruins in several places. And I can tell you that there are a lot of folks in the UK that don't know that this history existed. And that's not a slight against anybody. It's just because it's one of those Cold War things that get lost in time. And that's a very dangerous thing for us, is when we don't pass stories on. So we're working on preserving this to tell that story, and then we're working on a documentary film to go and preserve the story and help them with that as well. So,
why did they get phased out?
When this was originally developed, it was developed as a stopgap measure. So they were taking basically the first ballistic missile, which was the first plan was Atlas. So the Atlas ICBM, 5,000 mile nautical range, and that came with a lot of infrastructure requirements. So they wanted to accelerate a development curve so they could take parts of that and then put it on a faster track that required less infrastructure. So this program, and for anyone who's had to work on an engineering project and coordinate this went from an idea on a chalkboard in July of 1954 to contractor selection and final engineering design authority to proceed in 50 days.
Oh my God.
Yes. Now here's the thing, guys. When we're talking about this, they didn't have the capability to do this. So the machine capability to do the machine tooling, that was part of that too. They had to make the milling tools to be able to make the pieces so they could build the pieces, so they could build the infrastructure so they could deliver the pieces, so they could train the people so they could operate the pieces. That started in June of 1954, and they launched the first vehicle from Slick 2 in December of 1958. Boom. Done. And yeah, that's getting it done, right? Because that's people that believed. It was part of something that was bigger than them. And they made it happen. So they said, okay, so this went to England. Now here's the other thing. Everything you see here has to also, as part of that design, break down into a kit and go into an airplane and fly to England so somebody can assemble it from instructions and make it work. Yeah. And they did, and it was operational by February of '59. And then that system was basically buying time while the longer range Atlas missiles were coming online. So as that happened, once Atlas came online and once Minuteman came into play, they didn't need that system any longer. So what they did is they disassembled all those pieces and brought them back to the States. And then they reused those pieces, and we used them to put up spacecraft. And off of this pad, we launched those vehicles until 1980, putting up DMSP, which we still fly today, by the way. Defense Meteorological Satellite Program, DMSP. So, and DMSP, a lot of people don't know this, that was actually developed as a scheduling tool for the intelligence program. Because they were taking these mechanical spacecraft, taking photographs of space. So they have a 70mm camera, and it's taking pictures like a player piano. Well, the problem is when you get the film back, they develop the pictures, and they're like, wow, the weather was bad that day. So we took a lot of really expensive pictures of the tops of clouds. So they said, okay, well, that's not helping us. Sure would be nice if we could see the ground. Yeah, if we can only forecast that, we need a weather satellite. Do we have one? Nope, I figured it out. So they went and developed weather satellites so they could schedule the intelligence satellites to take pictures of the ground. And they said, you know, this is pretty handy. We could use this for other stuff, too. And, of course, we still fly DMSP today. So in Tyros-N and all those things, that all evolved from that capability. And, again, they didn't have any of this when they started. So from that jump to this point is pretty cool. And then the fact that the vehicle that they're flying is essentially just a modern version of this, the booster, is very, very cool. 2 pump, shower head, and a trash can. It's awesome stuff. So that's what this is about. This is the last remaining Thor pad in the world, and launched out here. Last launch off of this pad was in July of 1980. First launch was in August. There was one Royal Air Force crew training launch from here, and 31 satellites. So with that said, please watch your step. We're going through a bottleneck here, so watch for tripping hazards. We'll go around, get inside, and get you on down the road. Our crew at the Challenger, and for all of us who were alive at that time and probably remember where they were when you found that out. Pretty humbling moment, and you know, and I think that, and I posted this morning, that every mission that we do here really, you know, is a tribute to the vision of that. So we're still a part of carrying that on, and we have to keep the focus of that. And that's one of the things about trying to inspire people to get excited about space. Because here's the thing, we're a part of it. That's what kills me. People think like space is something else. No, dude, you're really part of it. Okay, because we're like hurling through the vacuum of the cosmic, energy here. You know, we're talking lots of stuff happening. Chandra's recording a bunch of it. It's cool, right? You're a part of that. You're not removed from it. And when we start thinking about that, it's kind of humbling, you know. So, and that of course keeps us focused to say, hey, stay the course, make the missions happen, get it done. And that's what these guys were all about in the early days, being a part of something bigger than them. And when you look across the way, you see those concrete, off in the distance, those concrete blast walls. That's where they launched the first intelligence satellite for the United States. That's where they launched Corona, Discover 1. So that happened out there February 28th, 1959. And that was the first polar orbiting vehicle, first heavy lift vehicle, first intelligence satellite. Lots of cool firsts. The blockhouse is actually where the radar dish is over there. That's HAIR radar, high accuracy instrumentation radar. And that was built with leftover parts from a couple systems. 10 million watt transmitter, it's pretty cool. So you can fry an egg on the moon with that, it's kind of neat. And then you, of course, follow around to Slick 2 to the west pad there. And you can see the bottom of the MST is open. You can see the gem on the side of the booster for those that can reach out that far optically. So that MST will roll back and expose the vehicle. When we go inside, you'll see pictures of that and all that jazz. So with that said, let's do that. We're going to go inside here. And about 11:30, I'm standing there, and I feel like somebody's watching me. So I turn around and shine my flashlight, I don't see anything. So a couple minutes later, all of a sudden I see this foot-girdling sound. No, the mountain lion. That was about 3 feet from the fence out there, away. And he's slinging down the hill right towards me. So I took this flashlight and lit him up with this flashlight. So as I did, he stops and kind of looks at me like, should I be able to keep that thing or not? So I had a green laser at 503. The students from the 392nd Missile Training Squadron training here at Vandenberg Air Force Base went to England. It was a joint program with the Royal Air Force and the United States Air Force. The Royal Air Force was in charge of the booster. The U.S. Air Force was in charge of the bomb. So it took both to agree. They would go through the count that they needed to, and away it would go. So obviously that didn't happen, thankfully. And after the system came out of service, they brought all that hardware back. Here's the thing. This shelter you're standing in was also on nuclear alert in England. Because the original shelter that was here was disassembled and went to Johnston Island to support another program down there. We constructed this site that parts came back from alert in England. So the building, the booster, all this stuff was at one point on nuclear alert. This booster was then modified and went to Johnston Island as part of another program called Program 437. 437 was an anti-satellite program that they did out of Johnston Island in about 1975. And then it came back out here. This site was modified for Space One, so the payload variant you see here behind you, off to my right or left. That is a DMSP variant from the Block 5D1 that we flew out here. That was the version of the DMSP satellite we flew here. And then where you're standing is actually the clean room. So if you notice up behind you up here, so there's a curtain that would go across there. So where that beam, there would be a curtain that would go there, and there's a curtain that went across back here. So the floor where it's painted would be the clean room. Okay? So then this would be basically purified. They would process the spacecraft once it was sealed up, and they would split the building. Where I'm standing, the building would split. So the shelter extension, which was added for the clean room, would move that direction. The weapon shelter would go back that way, and the missile itself would stand up vertically, pumped full of fuel, 3, 2, 1, big fire, away it went. That's happened 32 times from this pad. So as we walk down here, we'll walk down to the back end of this, and he's going to be going down here so you guys get friendly, make the rotation so everybody can see it. But please watch your step with the tripping hazards, and then also, just to make sure that you're paying attention, we have something along the wall right about like eye level to poke your eye out. So just be really careful in the darkness that you don't bump into that. I'm sure you would do, but just
30.
Didn't see time.